Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to Judah Reigns. If you like what you hear, please remember to subscribe, to share, and to give this channel a like. It will help boost visibility, and as many people as possible need to hear this message. So this is the third installment of speaking to the military, in particular the generals or high office persons that occupy the American uh, military arm or apparatus. I'm thinking of those that were present, the 800 that were present at uh, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth conference that he had in September of 2025. But of course, anyone who wears the uniform, just to speak to them through not only their intellect, but also, and more importantly, a spiritual aim, the unseen force, and to open that up. So this this is in regards to the goal of the true promised land coming to fruition and completion. And I'm going to start out with a little information here. It's called Jehovah's Vengeance Has a Purpose, as it is spoken of in Revelations, Deuteronomy, Joshua, all throughout the Holy Scriptures. So this little excerpt says, Jehovah's vengeance brings relief and benefit when he acts in behalf of those who trust in him. Additionally, it procures praise to him as the just judge. The psalmist says, the righteous one will rejoice because he has beheld the vengeance. And mankind will say, surely there is fruitage for the righteous one. Surely there exists a God that is judging in the earth. And you can look at scripture, Psalms 58, 10, and 11. It goes on to say, therefore, the primary purpose for God taking vengeance is to vindicate and glorify his own name and sovereignty, to really prove, I'm going off script here for a moment, to really prove that he or she absolutely exists. It finishes by saying his actions also vindicates his servants as being truly his representatives, because most of us are not in prominent positions in the government, and most certainly not in the military. As a matter of fact, the majority of those who are representatives or part of Christ's kingdom are anonymous. And if you were to pass them on the street, you wouldn't even know who they were. And as a matter of fact, because of their commissions and their anointing, they are constantly under duress by Satan and the demons. They are like some of us, laid off, lost your job. You're trying to pay bills. You're not in some glorious mansion. You live, some of us, in apartment duplex, or probably with other people. It's not what the movies or Hollywood has shown you of who they really are and how they would be. I mean, for goodness sakes, if we are to believe the Bible, Jesus Christ and the disciples were basically homeless men walking the street, getting their sustenance from those well wishers that would help them out on a day-to-day basis. They lodged with strangers or people who told them that they were of God, and that was provided, of course, by the Most High God to have that happen to them. But they weren't in prominent positions like Pontius Pilate. So let me look at this again. It says, his actions also vindicates his service as being truly his representatives, as well as delivering them from undesirable circumstances. Okay. And so the scripture supporting that is Ezekiel 37:16, 21 through 23, Psalms 135, verse 14, and 148, verse 14, Proverbs 21, verse 18. And then there's some other scriptures in here regarding vengeance. Exodus 14, verse 18, Psalms 80, chapter 83, 13 through 18, Isaiah 25, verses 1 through 5, Ezekiel 25, 14, 17, and chapters 38, 24. All right, so the enlightenment that has been afforded in these times is that the Lord's great army will consist of not only the angelic element, but also the human element. And that there is scripture that denotes that the creator of the universe will be using the very armies of Babylon or his enemies or her enemies. And in this case, in this late stage of Mystery Babylon, that would be America. So let's look at a couple of scriptures. And of course, I want to stipulate that the holy writings of the Bible, all of its books, those that have been made canon and those that are secret, quote unquote, scriptures, all of them are holy. And there are other writings out there as well that many of the children of Israel are using. So just whatever resonates with you. So we're going to look at Jeremiah 25, verse 9. And so let me read this. It says, "Here I am sending, and I will take all the families of the north," that is America, is the utterance of Jehovah, "even sending to Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and I will bring them against this land and against its inhabitants and against all these nations round about. And I will devote them to destruction and make them an object of astonishment and something to whistle at and and places devastated to time indefinite." So, those who are familiar with the Bible and with Jeremiah prophecies will reckon that King Nebuchadnezzar was a Babylonian king and he was a conqueror as well, and that he ended up conquering Jerusalem and then taking the exiles out, taking exiles of the Jews or the Hebrew people. But in this verse, notice that it says, "even sending to Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and I will bring them against this land." That is a deep prophecy because it means that a powerful person, or um, spiritually, we could say even a group of powerful people over or within Babylon, is going to assist in helping a servant or servants, but it says servant, so I'm just going to say servant of the Most High, and that it won't be the servant doing it or even the powerful one, but it will be the creator of the universe that will facilitate this assistance. And then it says out of the same book, Jeremiah 25, in chapter 25, verse 10, it says, "And I will destroy out of them the sound of exultation and the sound of rejoicing, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, the sound of the handmill and the light of the lamp." So, and we can definitely see that here in Mystery Babylon, in this land, that there's always this exaltation of how great America is, how it's the home of the brave, and or land of the free and home of the brave, and how they beat their chests and stick it out that we have the most mighty military in the world. And it says here that the creator of the universe will do such a marvelous thing that he's going to use, or she's going to use their way in order to bring them down, in order to take the pomp out of and the pride and the arrogance really out of out of this out of this land. And it goes on to say in the same book and chapter in verse 13 about how the devastation of of this nation, how it's going to affect all nations around the earth. And it says in verse 13, and I will bring in upon the land all my words that I have spoken against it, even all that is written in this book that Jeremiah has prophesied against all the nations. So the second part of the Lord's great army can be found in Isaiah chapter 13. This is the angelic part of it. It says, verses 1 through 5, it says, the pronouncement against Babylon that Isaiah, the son of Amoz, saw in vision. Upon a mountain of bare rocks, raise up a signal, you men. Lift up the voice to them, wave the hand, that they may come into the entrance of the nobles. I myself have issued the command to my sanctified ones. I have called my mighty ones for expressing my anger, my eminently exalted ones. So just with that little bit of insight and reading, I'll read the rest. It seems to be that on the other side of the veil and the invisible, that there's an outworking that's taking place so that these ones who have no rank, no famous name, they don't have many riches, that are the servants of the Most High God, but because they are to sit in a strategic position within the Lord's great army, that the armies itself, human and angelic, will bring that to bear to set them into a place or into a position where they can, according to what the Most High dictates, issue out his further plans or her further plans in order to deal with the unrighteous ones. It goes on to say in verse 4, listen, a crowd in the mountains. This is a government. When it says mountains, it means government or some type of government organization or agency. Listen, a crowd in the mountains, something like a numerous people. Listen, the uproar of kingdoms, of nations gathered together. Jehovah of armies is mustering the army of war. They are coming from the land far away, from the extremities of the heavens, Jehovah and the weapons of his denunciation to wreck all the earth. Now he's talking about two parts of his army. One, here on earth, they are coming from the land far away. And that doesn't mean that it's a different country. It could be because between the servant and that army, there's a breadth and width. They are far apart, uh, logistically or logically, also spiritually, and or simply they're not in communication. They are not in the same room, so to speak. So that's what that can mean. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're in another country. And some of them could be. They could be all around and about, right? We have people that are serving in the human element of the army throughout the world. So depending on where they are stationed, they could come from a land far away. So we shouldn't be surprised by that. And then in 5 here, it goes on to say, even from the extremities of heaven. And of course, we've had the three-eyed atlas and the other objects that are floating have come in from far away from they're still trying to calculate, was it from this galaxy or another galaxy? And we have them doing maneuvers and things that doesn't go with the status quo of inanimate objects like a comet floating around. We also have a lot of UFOs that are literally in our atmosphere, making maneuvers and whatnot. So again, you have the earthly element and you have the heavenly element that comprises of the Lord's great army. Now I was going to stop at 5, but the creator of the universe is motivating me to read on in this particular passage. And again, that's Isaiah chapter 13. So I'm going to go ahead and read 6. It says, howl, ye people, for the day of Jehovah is near. As the despoiling from the Almighty, it will come. That verse 7, that is why all hands themselves will drop down, and the whole heart itself of mortal men will melt. 8, and people have become disturbed. Convulsions and birth pains themselves grab hold. Like a woman that is giving birth, they have labor pains. They look at each other in amazement. Their faces are inflamed. And so what I pick up from that immediately is that it's not so much as talking about the world, but about what's going on in this country, United States of America, and in particularly with the uh, people who are from Europe and who are white. And why would they be astonished about what is going on in the world today? Because they can see how it's not going to benefit them anymore. Because they can see now, forcefully see, how the illusion that they were told by the powerful ones of their nation, right? By the elites of the nation, by the ones who held the power and who were anointed and bequeathed of power through Satan, the devil, and who worked closely with the demonic forces in order to control not only this country, but all the nations around the world. And I, for one, will have to say that in that audience of learned men and women, and I'm talking about when the generals were gathered, that was a really poignant point. It's a pin mark in this historic times that we live in, for the simple fact that those of us who can get impressions from beneath the spirit, that there was a great division that went on in that auditorium, with all those hundreds of men and women decorated, being lectured to by the platoon leader. And I think it created a fissure that is not going to mend itself. It is widening and widening and widening. There are many within that conglomerate of people that are questioning what the hell is going on, and not only questioning, but they're now getting the insights because the creator of the universe is speaking through their spirit, speaking deep in their minds and into their hearts, and they cannot shut off the Most High. They can't shut off the angels. They are telling them that, listen, you can see what's going on here, and you can see how it is not to benefit um, just you and your family. That it is not it's not going to benefit the American people. It's going to benefit those people who hide behind the corridors of power, who would not get out there in front and lead an army if you were to drag them by their coattails or drag them by their ankles. They sit back in offices and they dictate to you your life and the lives of the people of this country, whether or not you're going to have something or not have something. And at this point, you're not having a damn thing right now, but you better get your behind out there and do what we tell you. And that, from what the Creator has given me, is souring in their mouths and in their bellies. It is not resonating the way it used to be. And listen to this. Also, what's resonating is the using all of their skills and techniques. All of you that are sitting in that auditorium, gifted men and women in the manners of war and technology that you have at your fingertips. And here you are being made to go in to places and countries that can really offer you no defense, right? So if you were, if so the kill frequency is not being met. The whole idea that, okay, I'm going up against a worthy foe and I win, has a different ring to it than going against somebody who doesn't have anything and you win. A win is not a win. A win is different. It hits differently depending on what kind of wind it is. It's like this. There's a different thrill. If we're going to go in with all of the weapons, all the manumissions that you guys have, it's as if like, let's say a hunter goes out on the Serengeti Serengeti in Africa. There's a difference between him hunting a lion and overcoming that lion versus him hunting a little rat in the grass and killing the rat. There's a difference in how you can puff out your chest and say, hey, whether it be right or wrong, hey, I'm the strong man. You're not going to say you're the strong man if you're being pictured next to a little rat that you shot up out there in the field, a little muskrat rat, versus if you're sitting next to a lion, a male lion in its prime. And for a lot of white men, this is bothering them. What's going on in the world right now, especially in that auditorium, all those admirals and generals, some of them, it's bothering them what they're having to do because we're not, as American people, we're not told everything. But for those of Christ's kingdom, we don't have to be told everything, right? The creator of the universe will give us the messages, will give us the unseen force of what is really behind the veil. And let's also couple it with the fact that the spoils of the stolen goods that weren't paid for at all, but just stolen and taken, will not go into their coffers. It's going to go into the elites' coffers. It's going to go into the families who descendants will profit from the endeavors of these men and women. Their families, the generals, and even the military apparatus, there are a lot of them that will never see any of the profits. You're enriching people who already have more than they will ever spend. They don't have a bottom at all. And so what that is saying is that there is a crisis of conscience. Whether or not they speak about it publicly, there is that. So what I'm saying is that the first people to realize of the Caucasian race in America that it is over is those who are in the military. They are not the last, they are the first people. It's the population that is the last to realize it, if they even at all realize it. It doesn't have to be all, it just has to be enough. And once more, these men and women know that all that can heal the American people in this country, the very, very elite, rich, powerful people will never share that among the populace. Never. They will only share it among themselves and hoard it among themselves. And so they have to make a decision, each one of them, in this sector of power. Will they seek the face of God's most chosen servants? It's up to them. May you hear the Most High's voice and seek his servant's face so that you can get the hell out of this wretched situation that we're all in. Thank you.